What's up everyone? Welcome to Day at Night, the greatest paranormal YouTube channel that's ever been created of all time, ever. For anyone that's ever done it, this is the best. Okay, that's what you're getting, and congratulations, you found us. So real quick, before we get into this video, I've kind of explained why we haven't been able to get too many videos out lately. And then since that last video where I explained that, twice we've gone out, filmed. One time all of our footage was lost, which really sucked. The second time we went out, we were gonna go to Barker Ranch, really try to kick this season off with a bang. That's where Charles Manson was living with his family, and that's where he was captured. Drove out, and there's been some rains recently in the last few weeks, and it washed out the entire road to get up there. We couldn't get up there even with our Jeeps. And it really sucked because we drove like 2.5 hours, saw the road, had to come back. So we haven't been able to put a video out. We're gonna get there, no worries. In the meantime, I was taking a guy with me, a friend of mine named Jim. I met Jim just not too long ago. He had talked about, you know, the paranormal and joining us on the channel and coming out on an investigation or two with us. But anyway, we kind of had been friends and talking, and then he had made a comment in one of our videos where we had an exorcism, and he made the comment that he would have done the same thing except he wouldn't have used Jesus Christ. And I was kind of taken back by that, and you know, of course I'm going to follow up with a question like, what do you mean, Jim? Why is that? Well, before I get into it too much, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please take a second to subscribe. We can wait. But you guys have no idea how much your subscription like helps the channel grow. If you like any of the videos, comment, share, it really helps the channel grow, and it would really help us to make bigger and better videos. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So my friend Jim says he would have done an exorcism, but he wouldn't have used Jesus. And to me, that's the only way you can do one. And so I had asked him, like, well, what would you have done? And come to find out that my friend Jim, who's very quiet, kind of a humble, reserved type of guy, not very loud and boisterous, just really chill, really nice. Him and his wife are really, really nice people. So the last thing I would have expected is what came out of his mouth next. He had told me that he's an occult practitioner, which means he practices, I don't want to just say black magic or dark magic. He practices the art of the occult. Hey, what's up everyone? I need to back up for a second just to explain what the occult is. I don't want to assume that everybody knows or everybody has an idea. So I need to just take a second and fill you in on what that is. I'm going to read this right off of the internet from AI. It says the occult refers to hidden or secret knowledge and practices, often involving supernatural, mystical, or magical forces and phenomena that lie beyond conventional science and organized religion, such as astrology, alchemy, divination, and witchcraft. It's a broad term for esoteric traditions focused on spiritual insight, personal power, and hidden truths, utilizing practices like tarot, scrying, spiritism, and ritual magic. So that is the definition right out of the internet. So from my understanding before this interview with Jim is that the occult, or I don't want to say or witchcraft because I don't really know if they're the same thing, but I also don't know what's different about them except like some pagan beliefs or Wiccan or whatever. My understanding is this, and I could be wrong. I'm naive, guys. I know a lot about the paranormal, but I don't know a lot about the occult. And so here's kind of what I've always thought is that certain people, or if you're an occult practitioner, that means you practice the occult, right? The science of the occult. If it's a science or religion, I don't know, it doesn't really matter for this purpose. But from my understanding is these practitioners or witches or wizards, whatever you want to call them, they call on a higher power to get certain things, to either manifest something they want in their life, to manifest something for somebody else, maybe to curse somebody else, and they call upon entities that are not the traditional religious entities. For example, a Christian, someone that's Jewish, we would call upon God for help, for answers. and we pray and we ask him for certain things. The occult does the opposite. They call on and they summon the demonic, or they summon demons. Again, this is my understanding. They have sigils or symbols, each demon does, that they can call upon and ask the demon for whatever it is they want. Now, I've always thought, in every story I've heard, always says that you sacrifice something for the demon. You give him an offering, whether it's a gift of food, alcohol, tobacco, whatever it might be. You give something to them, and then they want something in return. A lot of times they require your blood. Either you cut your hand or something and you put your blood on this offering, or you actually sacrifice an animal or even another human being to this demon for whatever it is you're asking. Now, all the stories I know and everything that I've always thought is that demons are no good. They are negative entities. They will trick you to make you think that they are positive and they are helpful, but in the end, they really want you to sacrifice yourself, your time, your energy to the demonic, to evil, and that eventually you will have to pay this demon. That's what really scares me for my friend Jim. He's had only positive experiences, he says, but I worry that maybe the demon is masking these experiences as positive, and at the end of the day, it's going to want something in return. So that's pretty terrifying, especially when you look at it as like selling your soul or giving your life or soul to the demonic or to evil forces. Anyway, just wanted to back up really quick and just say what the occult is before we move on. But let's go back to where we were. I had a million questions, and I was gonna ask them, and then I thought, you know what? I bet there's so many people that have the same questions that I have. Anytime I see the occult, or I see someone that has a member of the occult on their show and they use them to try to summon demons or whatever it is, it always piques my curiosity. Now, do I think it's smart or safe? No, I don't. So I want to be very clear that myself, this channel, we don't condone it. We don't support it. But in this case, we're also not trying to paint a negative picture on it. We are trying to just figure out why he does this and just point out the reasons and just give you the information. We're not trying to say it's good or bad. We're not trying to tell anyone they should do it. So please, if you get into any of it, please be careful. It's not something I'll be doing, even with the information I have now. I just have a different belief, and I'll maybe get into some of those maybe at the end here. But I just wanted to give you the raw conversation. So I never had it with him until we were able to turn the cameras on, and I really appreciate him doing this. Not an easy thing to talk about. You know, I thought I'm gonna go into this with an open mind. I'm not gonna tell him he's wrong, but at the same time, I'm gonna try to not condone it or promote it. The other thing that's very important to understand is this is his story. He's not trying to talk for the entire occult. He's not trying to talk for a group. He's trying to just give us his own personal feelings, his own personal experiences, and that's it. He's not saying this is how everybody thinks, this is how he does it, why he does it, and how he feels about it. So that's very important. Don't think that he's trying to represent the entire group. And one thing I kind of asked him, and I still don't really know the answer, is it like a religion to him or to others that practice the occult? Is that their religion? Is it their faith? Here's the interview, and again, just remember these are his thoughts, why he decided to do it. And again, I can't thank him enough for sharing his thoughts and feelings about this. I'll see you at the end of the video. Hey, so we're here tonight with my buddy Jim. Jim and I just became friends through the channel. He's got a Jeep Wrangler like I do. We talked about going out and we can pretty much go anywhere, but we found out real quick we can't go everywhere. And so we talked about the channel and him joining us sometimes or all the time, which we're excited about. But then we also have talked a little bit about Jim is an occult practitioner, and I know, like myself, it gets a lot of people's curiosity. It catches a lot of people. People want to know more, and there's a lot of misconceptions about it, which you know more than I do. So Jim is gracefully said that we can talk about this, and I've been meaning to have this conversation with him for a long time, but we've waited till we can put it on camera. So I'm excited. I've been excited for a little bit, and so we'll get into it. And just give us a little background and how you got in to the occult. And if I say anything wrong, it's just I'm naive, so you can just correct me and
it's no problem at all.
Right, yeah.
Well, it started, this whole thing that I do started out when I made friends with a person on TikTok. This woman, and she claimed to have psychic abilities and advanced spiritual abilities. And what happened, I became friends. I don't remember what the app was called, WhatsApp. And we were talking on there, and she ended up somehow giving me a spiritual attack through the deity she works with. And this is still beyond my comprehension.
So like a curse, she's trying to harm you through some entity or deity?
You know, I've been trying to figure it out for years.
Oh, okay.
And I still to this day do not know how it happened. It's the first time this has ever happened. I've never heard of it before. But like I was losing my vision and I was like kind of incoherent. Like I was really scared. I'm like, what is happening to me? So I could barely text. I reached out to another friend and they contacted her. And she came right to the rescue. That's the first time I talked to her on the phone. So it seems like she had to be the one that had this happen.
She set it up just so she could be the savior there. That's crazy. So then she takes it off or saves you from this illness or whatever, and then what?
Well, we talked to her for a while, and then she started developing feelings towards me, and I'll take my blame. I said the feelings are mutual, and then these weird spiritual things were happening that I never even knew were possible. Like there was a succubus demon involved, and it got really intense, like a lot of sexual energy, and they started causing problems between me and my wife. So I ended up breaking it off with her. And I could tell that she did some kind of witchcraft too. And from talking to her, she said witchcraft isn't nothing, and it's the Masonic witchcraft that's really powerful that she has problems with. So I was kind of scared and freaked out from all this. So
was she saying she can't control it? Like that freaks her out?
Well, she said that normal witchcraft isn't a problem. Like if people do it against her. So, but the Masons, she said, she claimed were after her for some reason. I guess because of her abilities. And so.
So you're like, what did I get myself into?
Yeah. So anyways, we ended up breaking it off. You know, my wife actually blocked her, and so I got into. I started researching witchcraft to see a return to sender spell, and for my protection because I was really scared of what happened. It was really intense, and so it started resonating with me. I'm like, you know what? Because most of this knowledge is self-empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
So
you just started studying it for that reason, and then the more you studied, the more it was kind of drawing you in, and you're like, huh. So, for my knowledge, is witchcraft and the occult practitioner is it the same thing, or is it different, or is it partly this? Explain that.
Well, everything that I'm saying is basically my experience and my interpretation, whether I'm right or wrong. For me, being a practitioner is being able to invoke or evoke energies, like spirits, labeled as demons, really. I should say.
So you got to a point where you're like I'm gonna try. I think I should try this.
Yeah, it just started out as simple, return to sender spells and protection and putting salt around the house. It started out like that, and then my interest started growing when I was watching people talk about shadow work and stuff, and they're saying, a lot of people claim that like demons are just part of our like shadow, like our own subconscious within ourselves, and that's basically like what they say shadow work is. And so I became interested, and I started trying to evoke demons, and it had actually worked. Like I could feel their energy. Like I could never see or hear them, but their energy is unmistakable, and I could tell them each apart by their energy.
So you can tell them each apart, and you know when they're around?
Yeah, so you can feel them.
So once you, I don't know if evoke is the right word, is that once you summon one or evoke one, are they always there, or just when?
Well, they're mostly, like you can feel when they leave, but like their essence or whatever, is a little bit of their energy kind of sticks with you for months.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of like the whole general thought process of like an attachment. Like something stays with you, because when you talk about attachment, people say, oh, you bring this entity home, or you bring a spirit home, and which I believe happens, because I think it's happened to me several times. But people think, the way I look at it is I go, well, how can that demon or that entity come home with me and then attach to someone else as well? How can it be with all of us? But I think just what you said, we just have like a part of that energy lingering on us, but it's not always there 100% all the time. That's kind of how I've come to think about it, but is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, now there are different types of entities though. There are like malevolent, like vampiric, parasitic, poltergeist, things like that. Like a ghost is kind of, to me, a ghost is like just somebody's spirit after they pass away.
Yeah. Yeah. So everyone knows, like when I've met you and got to know you and your wife a little bit before I even knew any of this, and I've told you, like, you guys are really good people. Like, you're great people, because I think people think that like you have to be a bad person if you're doing this or something. And so you had made the comment to me that you do this for good, never for bad. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah. To me, society has basically labeled former gods and goddesses as demons, like demonized them. Now, I can't say if they actually are involved in anything bad. I don't know, but I've had nothing but very good experiences. Now, there's some energies that have made me feel uneasy, like they're like taking me to a place I don't want to be a couple times, but other than that, it's very good experiences.
That's interesting. That was going to be one of my questions was, the way I think of a demon is that they don't do good. They're not positive, and even if they do something good for you temporarily, they want something more in return. Do you have to give them anything in return, or how do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, back to what I was saying, I don't feel that ones that are labeled as demons, I don't really feel that they're malevolent. I think it's just a label that's put on them.
No, I was just saying that. Like, do you have to give them any? Because a lot of stories I've heard is like, you give them your blood, or you give them whatever, and in return, and one day they're gonna make good on that. Or
the only thing, I mean, it's optional. I sometimes use those diabetic things, poke my finger, a couple little drops of blood on the sigil. Just that's what I do out of respect. But it's not necessary. I mean, the only offering is like a piece of fruit, like maybe a strawberry, this or that.
Yeah.
It's nothing bad.
Yeah, so what to you, what is a demon?
To me?
I know you're kind of explaining it, but I was just thinking, man, we should have identified that, because that's a kind of a major thing.
You know what? I guess we could look at malevolent entities as demons, and they are a big concern. But ones that are labeled as demons, I don't think they should be. Like Lilith or Hecate, ones like that. I mean, they're considered like demonic, but I just don't see it. I don't feel that energy. In fact, I felt love one time from Goddess Hecate. This intense love. Like I was closing it out, and then me and my wife, we felt like this energy coming towards us. I was like backing up, like, uh-oh. it was just love like I've never experienced. So.
Yeah, you told me that. That's crazy. So I did a video, and most of my beliefs come from, the Christianity side. And as you and I talked about, this video isn't to say who's right and who's wrong. It's just to have a discussion. And so I did a video in one of the early seasons, and it was labeled 55 billion demons. And that was based on if God cast a third of the heavens out to earth with Lucifer, and if that's what we think demons are as fallen angels, if I did the math on that, that would basically say there's like 55 billion demons on earth, which totally outnumber us. And the reason I did that is I always see videos, and a lot of, even the people I like to watch that ghost hunt, they'll say, a lot of times they'll say it's not demonic, it's not a demon. Like, and they'll always say, people always say it's a demon, it's not a demon. Like, you would be surprised at how many demons there are and what could be a demon. I bet it's demonic more than you think. Now, I do feel from doing this that there is a hierarchy, and that there's probably a lot of demon spirits or fallen angels around us that probably don't have as much power to influence us or to do what some of the higher ranked ones do. And I say that because only a couple times I felt like we had something higher and the power was totally different. But I think we always have demons trying to get us to do certain things all the time, because of that, if it's a third of heaven, I did the math of how many people have been on the earth, and anyway, but even if that number's off a little bit, it's a lot. And so I just think there's more demons than most people realize, even though some might not really have the power to maybe what people classify as a demon. And again, a lot of people don't even know what a demon is.
Yeah, I forgot to say, though, at the beginning that I was raised Roman Catholic, always going to church.
I was going to ask you about
Sunday school, so I do know a lot about the Bible.
Yeah.
And then I became a born-again Christian. And then I started actually associating with street preachers preaching Jesus. So now I think that was another one of your questions.
Yeah.
Well, to me, I did some research. There's a Kundalini, however you want to say it, awakening. Basically the same story as Christ. Up 33 vertebrae up your spine, and then it gets crucified. The sacred secretion gets crucified times 1,000-fold to reach like Christ's consciousness. Mm-hmm. So really, I'm finding Christ within myself now rather than looking somewhere else.
Sure, but you acknowledge him as an entity as well, a good entity, but also the demons you're summoning also good entities.
Yeah,
and I think that's a philosophy that many people don't ever consider when they look at the occult or anyone that's a practitioner. And that was one of the first things that hit me when you and I were talking was, that's an interesting view, and I don't think that you would be as involved if you didn't really believe that. And I think it's kind of cool. And I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Christ definitely exists, 100 million%, just for the fact that there's billions of people that manifested him into existence, even if the Bible could be wrong or if he never existed before. Christ does exist, I know for sure.
So when you've evoked Lilith, or I want to say it right, Hecate, is there a way to know it's them that's actually there? Or is there a way to know that you're summoning who you want to summon? I mean, I know you do their sigil and things like that. Can you maybe explain kind of what you do to call on one of them?
You know what? The first time, you really don't know until you feel them. But then once you feel them, then you're like, okay, that's them. Their frequency, their energy.
Wow. And so I'm a total believer in it. And I believe that black magic works. I believe that people can call on demons for certain powers and certain things, but I feel like you don't really call on them for power. You just, or am I wrong? Or because I wouldn't say. Well,
I use them to magnify my intention, and that's what I'm saying. How this isn't what I do is not bad. It's not negative. I set a goal in life. Something positive. It's a positive thing, like to start a business or whatever. And to make money, And so I find one that's must be on the same frequency of money to, intensify the spell.
That's interesting.
My intention.
So then I think a lot of people would ask, and I guess it brings me to that question is, so I know that you've done that and it's worked in a pretty good way. So what keeps you from doing that all the time? Like doing that like every day, like summoning someone to try to manifest?
I think I need to do it a lot more often. It actually works. It all comes down to just putting our intention out there. That's it. That's really all it is. And just like magnifying it. Or maybe like carve it into a candle, like squeeze the candle and say, this is what I want to happen.
I mean, it's like a lot of people will want something to happen and they'll pray and call on God for it.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing. One thing with me, like one reason I do what I do is if I do feel like we get an attachment, I feel like I have the power and confidence to remove it. Now, with that said, I feel like if I were to abuse that, and it's not my power, so it would be taken away from me. Like, you're abusing this situation, and so that's one thing I always worry about, and that's why I don't try to just remove everything every time we go out somewhere, because I think it's almost mocking that ability or that power from Christ. And so I don't. And I was just wondering if that's maybe on the same thing, because you told me you haven't done one in a while and you don't do them that much. And that was my thing, like, well, why wouldn't you just do it all the time if it works,
Well, yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of energy, and like, how many times do you really, want to or need to?
Do you ever feel like if you ask too much from a certain entity, that it's going to either demand something back or just be like, look, I held you out. Like, how many times can I help you?
I really don't. It's really not like that for me. Like, I just, basically get permission. Like, can you just magnify this intention? I mean, it's not really like I ask them for it. Like, I mean, I have done that starting out a little bit, but I'm like, this doesn't really resonate with me. It doesn't make sense.
So here's a weird question, and you might not even have an answer because you probably have to really think about it, but like, how much of your life do you think of yourself as a practitioner, or is it just like, I don't think that much about my religion, or probably not enough as I should, but do you wake up and go, oh, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I'm thinking about these entities, or?
I wake up and I'm excited about it because I found what I enjoy doing, and it's just about self-empowerment instead of asking, like even bugging God, like, God, can you please do this for me or something?
Yeah.
I try and make it happen myself.
Do you fear any of them, any entity, or do you fear anything bad happening, or?
I used to fear pretty much everything. Like, in the dark, like, I was terrified of everything, and a lot of strange things happen. I, myself, my wife, grandkids, there's been other people that have seen the same things, like floating through the air, like former people.
Yeah.
And it was some scary stuff that we saw. But ever since I've been working with deities, demons, whatever you want to call them, we haven't had anything strange happen at all. Like, I don't feel the presence of anything strange since then.
Yeah, and certainly not negative, like you said.
Right. Yeah. Nothing negative. Like, I feel like I'm protected too. I don't know if it's a false sense of security that I have, or maybe I'm just overlooking some strange things, or I don't know.
You don't boast about it. Like, you weren't asking to do this. I asked you, like, hey, do you mind if we turn on cameras and talk about this? Like, I don't feel like it's something you boast or you, like, just want to shout to the world, this is what I do. I think it's a personal thing, and I think that's what it should be. Whether it's being an occult practitioner or being in whatever religion, whether you're a Christian, a Jew, whatever it is, I think that's a personal thing that people should have.
Yeah, that's how I feel about certain organizations. No offense if some people are in these organizations, but like whatever, like maybe Satanic Temple or something like that, I kind of feel like it's a lot of things in society shoved in people's face.
Yeah.
Not just that.
So that's the one question I was going to ask, and I kind of forgot. A lot of people just assume that the occult practitioner is a Satan worshiper.
No,
not the case, right?
I don't worship any of them. I just treat them with respect and love, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't think so, but I did want to get it out there because I think a lot of people have that confused. A lot of the common people that don't know much about it.
And I'm not in any kind of organization.
Yeah.
I'm just like solo.
And you're kind of you're self-taught basically, right? I mean.
Yeah. What I did is I researched like pretty much everything, and the things that resonated, I just took little pieces here and there and just kind of figured it out myself, and it was worked for me. So
the first time you called on a demon or an entity, was that pretty scary? Like the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah,
the first time.
I bet.
In fact, I rarely ever drink, but that's what I had to do to get the nerve to do it. I did have some drinks.
Yeah, and then you did it, and you're like, that wasn't bad. That was actually kind of good. And then, yeah.
I was like, wow, they actually showed up.
Yeah, they showed up the first time, like.
Yeah,
like,
I felt the energy. I was like, whoa, I can't believe it. This is actually real.
Like, shit, I did this right. That's crazy, man. Yeah, I would think that it would take like practice and like to do it right, but I'm sure you did plenty of research.
Yeah, it's shocking though that it actually worked. I couldn't believe it. Pretty much everything that I've done has worked in a roundabout way. It may take years, but it ends up falling into place.
Sure. And some things are going to take longer to manifest. And if something's taking longer, do you keep calling on that entity, or do you just let it simmer and
just keep the intention there? Maybe get back with it a few times if I have to.
It's so funny because like you're so laid back about it, which is cool. But I think I would be freaking out. So that's funny. So the other thing I was going to ask is like, with your knowledge of these entities and things you've known, like so everyone knows we went out 2 nights ago and we were going to go to Barker Ranch. We were both excited. It's a long drive, but like it's just such a cool place to go do an investigation. And we had recent rains, and not realizing how hard it must have rained up there, the road was completely washed out, huge boulders everywhere. So we had to turn around. We drove like 2.5 hours, 3 hours, turned around and just came back. It was kind of a shitty night, but anyway, but when we do make it happen, do you feel like this knowledge is going to help you bring stuff to the table, or maybe you'll feel things that maybe...
You know what? I've always been interested in paranormal investigations. Now at this point, I'm actually like really wondering. That's the thing. I'm wondering myself. Like, is because I'm there nothing going to happen, or is because I'm there, a lot going to happen? I mean, I'm really curious to know myself.
Yeah, I'm curious to like maybe put some machines close to you and see if you're giving off anything. So that'll be cool. I thought about doing it tonight, but I was like, no, we'll just do the interview. We'll save that one. I don't know if you got anything else you want to add, or I mean, it's freezing out here. I know you're freezing, but if there's anything you want to add, you can say whatever you want. If not, if we think of something else, we can always pick up where we left off too.
I think we pretty much covered everything. If you could think of something else, then
if I think of something else, we'll do it again and just add on to this one. But I think most of my questions I had we talked about, and like everything you said, you said it so like nonchalant and like relaxed. I'm just like, like a little bit surprised, but I guess I shouldn't be, because that's how you are. You're just pretty chill. Sure appreciate talking about a personal thing, and something that a lot of people view. We talked about it. So a lot of people view it as negative, so it's not easy to just say, hey, this is what I do and this is why. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are more interested than not necessarily getting into it, but just curious of why people do it and why, So I appreciate the honesty and the answers.
It's everyone's individual path, really.
Yeah.
I mean, even in different religions, people still argue about like this one verse, what it means, and
of course, yeah.
This is only my story.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it, dude. Appreciate it. We'll get out there and get you on an investigation as soon as we get one. All right, buddy. Thanks. So there you have it. I tried not to get too personal with him on it. I tried to not, go too deep into the questions. Well, why, how, well, if you believe this, I just tried to say, how did you get into it? Why did you get into it? And how has it treated you so far? And how do you feel about it? I was very surprised at a lot of the responses. I'm very surprised at how laid back and how chill he is about everything. Like, it's just no big thing to him. And I think the biggest thing for me, and from what I believe, is that the fact that he feels love from these entities is where I guess I get blown away, because I only think of them as doing negative, as wanting to destroy you, as wanting to harm you, and they'll do whatever it takes to do so. So even if they seem positive or seem loving, I believe that they want something in return, or they're doing something. But again, I'm not trying to say he's wrong and I'm right. That's kind of where I have a hard time with it. And with him being a friend of mine, I want him to be safe, and I hope that he's okay. And I'll help any way I can if things go astray. But this is what he's a grown man. I'm not going to tell him what to do and what not to do. And if he feels great about it, who am I to say he should be doing something else? So I just kind of wanted to present it to you that way. Are there more questions that I have and more things? Yeah, I kind of wish I would have asked him about more of his experiences, how he does it, and what's happened to him in the past, or what he's asked for, and things like that. But maybe we'll get into that a little bit more as our relationship grows. And I'm going to have him out on some investigations, so maybe we'll get into it a little bit more there. And I definitely want to get him out just to see if there's anything, any energy on him or attached to him, because that'll be interesting to find out. So again, if you're still watching the video, thank you so much. I can't say enough. Just remember that those were Jim's opinions and why Jim does things, and he's not trying to speak for an entire group. With that said, I will see you on the next video. We'll have some investigations rolling out here soon. Love you guys. Peace, joy, love, all that. Bye-bye. See you next time.
There's no one beside you when your soul embarks. Then I'll follow you into the dark.